We
are
We
are cultivate.
Cultivate.
We are cultivate.
Hello and welcome to a special mini-sode of Yield Crime, the show where Maddie and I discuss the funny, strange, and obscure crimes of yesteryear every Wednesday. This special bi-weekly segment is called Can You Crack the Cramp-Word, which is slang for a difficult or obscure term, which I thought was very fitting. And joining me today are Amanda and Trevin from the Live, Laugh, Larceny, a true petty crime podcast. And before we begin, I'd like to give them the opportunity to tell us a little more about themselves and their show before we get started.
Awesome. Thanks for having us on here.
Yes, and can I just say, your voice right now is so soothing to me. Oh my God.
Yes.
We're so complimentary.
I know. But no, thank you so much for having us on. So my name is Amanda. I'm one of the co-hosts of Live, Laugh, Larceny, and this is Trevin.
Hello.
And yes, we are a true petty crime podcast. So we never talk about anything too heavy. We don't talk about anything really murdery at all. We like to take the light-hearted petty crimes and turn them into dramatic tales, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we like to take anything dumb and bizarre and try to make it sound as if we are covering a murder, but it's never a murder. So it's kind of just that juxtaposition, just stupid cheesiness, and that's where we live. But yeah, I'm Trevin, and I'm the other host, and I do audio for it. Every story that we do has very immersive sound effects where it's ominous music in the background, cheesy sound effects, dumb voice reenactments. I put a lot of production behind everything, and together we have this goofy variety show that I like to think that it's the perfect thing to break it up. If you're a true crime person and you feel like you're getting a little depressed from all of the murder talk, we still speak the same true crime language, but it's just never anything bad. It's kind of like if you're a fan of scary movies, the scary movies are really fun for you. So that's kind of what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Totally. Yes.
Yeah, like the horror movie parodies, like Cocaine Bear, or what is it? Why can't I think of it?
Naked Gun is the one I like to use a lot for our show.
Tucker and Dale.
Oh, versus Evil. I actually watched that last weekend.
Yeah, it's totally campy. It's supposed to be this, horror movie, but it's like a lighthearted take on a horror movie because they have no idea what the fuck is going on. And they're just like, why are all these teenagers killing themselves? So,
oh my God, I've never seen this. That sounds so funny.
It's hilarious. And Emily, the whole time she was watching it, was getting so stressed out and was just like, oh my gosh, it's just a big misunderstanding. How do I help them? But then once the movie was over, she just said, that was really cute. So she thought it was a cute movie.
It's cute how horrible that
Emily.
was. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt about Cocaine Bear, which isn't really crime related other than the fact that there's a bunch of cocaine that someone stole and then it got released off of a plane, and then this bear is addicted to cocaine and murders a bunch of people in hilarious ways.
Yeah, that movie was actually a lot more funny than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I haven't seen either of these. Oh my God, I am missing out.
I was cackling.
Yeah, you are.
Full on cackling when I was watching this. And my husband Thomas was sitting there next to me and he's like, okay, it's not that funny. And I was like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Are we watching the same movie? Because this is ridiculous. Super
Yeah,
trippy.
there was the one thing that really could get to off topic here, but the thing that I cannot stop thinking about is how there was that random cut where there was 3 dudes walking in the forest, and then it comes back to their scene later, and then there's just 2, and they're talking about how they're sad the third one died, and then you never see it, and then it quickly does a flashback to 10 minutes before, and it shows them die real quick, and it goes back, and it's like, why did you need to put a flashback there? That's so random, but it's really jarring, and I still can't stop thinking about it. It's a weird editing choice.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I never really thought about that. But yeah, that was weird. That was a weird cut. Yeah.
Yeah. It really just jolted me out of it, but in a like I said, a jarring way, kind of like weird sounding music is used in horror movies. It really woke me up when I was watching it, but
Hmm.
I can't say that I love the decision, but it was effective.
Yeah. To get back to the interview section of this episode, now that we've gone on this Cocaine Bear and Tucker and Dale tangent, obviously everyone knows that you guys are best friends. So, how did the two of you meet and come up with the concept of the podcast?
It's funny that you say everyone knows that, because we have had a couple of people think we were related or married.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, we are indeed friends, best friends,
Yeah.
as you say. So we actually met about a decade ago.
Mm-hmm.
We were both working in just a really, really crappy warehouse job that we both couldn't stand. Just two creative souls just trying to earn a buck, you know?
Mhm.
And there were a lot of really absurd people that were working with us. And
It was certainly a man's world there.
it was a man's world, my God. But Trevin was always like my go-to person to like go and vent to or gossip with about other
Mhm.
people in the warehouse. And we just like continued to build on that friendship. Trevin, like he said, is so insanely talented in the audio world.
Mhm.
So I originally had a show with another friend that ended up, we stopped doing that one. But Trevin was our audio guy for that. And it got to a point where that show was coming to a close, and Trevin and I wanted to start something new, and we wanted it to fit in the true crime genre.
Mhm.
But Trevin's more of the comedy guy, and I'm more of the true crime gal. And it was a really random conversation that we had one night on the phone, trying to think of something unique and different. And Trevin was just like, what about true petty crimes? It was, yeah.
Yeah, and then the idea behind it just kind of, because I thought, like, I don't want to do just dumb criminal stories like in a
Sure.
radio talk show kind of way. I want to kind of poke fun at the genre at large because there's a lot of, I mean, whether people like to admit it or not, even when trying to cover things ethically, there's a lot of tropey type things that
Yep.
everybody does when they're covering true crime stuff. And I feel like there's just so much to say about the genre too that we kind of wanted to parody the genre all around by doing basically like a cheesy Dateline version
Mhm.
of dumb things. So originally we were just going to do stories, and then a friend of ours said, "Oh, you should do the Dreadful Dilemma thing." And
Mhm.
then I was like, "Well, I like learning things when I'm listening to things." Or cuz like if I don't like just straight up fiction, and so I was like, well, I want to do something with facts or trivia. So then another friend of ours was like, you should do a game segment. So then it ended up kind of becoming a variety show too.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
we really leaned into it because it's kind of like when people used to, well, I'm sure people still do, but when The Walking Dead would come out afterwards, they would have The Talking Dead, where it was like an after show, or they did Breaking Bad. And then I don't remember what the name of that one was, but it was just these after shows. And I thought, well, this is kind of like a true crime after show too, in a sense. Like whatever you listen to, if it's got you down, just come back to our goofy variety show thing,
Yeah.
and we're gonna make fun of the genre. So we just decided to write these stories. So I was like, well, we have to tell the stories really dramatically, obviously. I was just gonna put that low music underneath it, sort of like what like Crime Junkie does or something like that, with just a
Sure.
bowl. I wasn't gonna go too far into it. And then our first story, or the first story we did, was a story I did from my hometown about a person that would knock on people's doors. When they would answer the door, he would punch them in the face and then run off. And
What a douchebag.
Right.
and so it was when I was in high school, and they had the sheriff's report. I was in this like current events class, so they gave us a bunch of newspapers to look through. So I'm sitting here looking through this tiny town's newspaper, and there's the sheriff's report section where this is a small country town. The sheriff he has to write this report, and you can tell
Mhm.
he's not a wordy guy. So he'll type to himself and just be like, "Yeah, this person did it. Shocker." And then like just he talks like that, and it gets printed. So he actually made jokes, and after this had happened a couple times, he said, "Oh, the night puncher strikes again," like making a joke, calling him that. And so then it always just kind of stuck with me. So I told that story, but when we told the story, I just for fun was like, I'm gonna put a punch sound in it and like a man screaming just to see what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there all alone in my house, I put this sound effect in and I say, knocked on a door, punches people and runs off. And then, I put that documentary style sound effect behind it of a punch and a scream. And I just sat in that room and laughed so hard to myself. And I thought, well, if I can make myself laugh, then I think we should probably just get this to more people, because it's not every day that you can come up with something on your own that makes yourself cackle,
Sure, yeah.
So then it's grown so much from there. It's so overblown and campy with the sound effects and music changes now. And it takes me about, every story takes me about 4.5 to 5 hours to put together with the
Jeez.
audio. But
Oh my gosh, Trevin!
it is really, I feel good about every single one I put out. And I think that's really cool. So yeah, it's like I'm getting better with it, but yeah, it takes more time to make it.
It
Yeah.
does, but oh my god, the atmosphere, I'm telling you, with whatever he's been doing, I cannot say enough good things about Trevin and his audio like creativity. And he didn't say this, I don't think, that for the first year of podcasting, Trevin created every single background music that we use for our stories too, is all him as well.
Oh yeah, I do up to, I think I did like 204 songs, original songs to go behind these
Wow.
stories. And then I
Yeah.
started recycling them, and I would, once I would play them, you'd already had a year break from it, so it's okay. But
Yeah.
I was like, I'm ready to go another route. So now I'm using license-free, actual, fully produced music. But yeah, for the first probably year and a half of our show, it's been, or probably even longer, has been all my original music behind everything. And I'll still sneak an original in sometimes, but I'm just kind of having fun playing with other people's music now.
That's awesome. My brain's just blown. Sorry. Like, my brain just kind of rebooted there for a second as I'm just like staring off into space. I didn't have a stroke. You're fine.
No, it's okay. It's a lot to take in.
It is. I was just like, what? Wow.
No, I know. He does so much work. I'm just blown away too.
I'm blown away by where I find the time.
Yeah. That's kind of where I was, because I was like kind of mathing out in my brain, like, that's a lot of time to be spending.
Well, yeah, in the beginning of this year, for probably 5 months, I was the audio guy for another network too. And I had, for a short amount of time, I had about 8 shows under my belt plus mine. And I had a bit of a meltdown. And I don't
was
do
gonna
that
say-
anymore.
And working a full-time job as well.
Right.
You say, when do you sleep?
I wasn't. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's where the burnout and the freaking out comes into play. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's a miracle. I think I only had to take 1 week off from the show during that whole stretch, and I don't know how I did it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Too much.
So, as you've said, the premise is petty crimes told in this dramatic fashion. Like, I kind of think of it as like an audio version of a reenactment segment from like Unsolved Mysteries. You know what I mean? It's got
Yes.
like the
Ooh,
music
yes.
and stuff. So, what to you constitutes as a petty crime?
Mm.
So I have taken it, and I think that was always kind of our plan with the show, but we don't just do things that end in arrest or that would constitute as an actual crime.
Mhm.
We've had ones that are just straight up petty acts where somebody did something very petty to somebody, and we basically just call those our crimes against humanity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so sometimes we lean into the petty aspect, or sometimes we just, stick to our bread and butter with the dumb criminal stuff. I think that's another thing that makes our show fun is it's like that mystery of like, where are we going to go with this? Is this going to
Mhm.
actually end in a crime? Or is this just going to be a really funny, like, bit of us spilling the tea and saying somebody was a total dickhead once?
Yeah.
And with the atmosphere and everything, it makes you feel like you did just kind of witness a crime, but it's in a different way. So I say a petty crime is just, if it's just a petty act, and it can be a crime, or if it is, retaliation towards somebody, or,
Mhm.
Just victimizing another person, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, I mean, we have done a couple of stories that aren't even technically petty crimes. Like some of them will get like a felony charge, for example.
Sure.
Oh, yep.
So it's not even like that's not even really how we look at petty crimes even necessarily either. It's more just like intention or like silliness behind it, I guess.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. It's not always petty though, but I guess even when Amanda did the wine story that had the Netflix documentary, And
Yes, the Sour Grapes documentary. Have you seen that?
No, I have not.
Okay. Yeah, it's about this man named Rudy, and he basically conned all of like the richest like wine connoisseurs in the US basically. And it was for a lot of money. But the way he did it and the pettiness behind it is kind of
Mhm.
where I focused with it. But that, for example, yeah, Trevin, that was like he got in a lot of trouble. I can't even remember what.
he was so petty though, because I remember in the documentaries or whatever, or in the recordings that you were talking about, he basically would just like look at the camera and say, or he would look at them and be like, "I'm scamming all of you," and they're like, "Ha ha 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 ha." Like he was literally just being such a shit.
Yeah,
So
he was very, very cocky, and yeah, they would like film like all their like gatherings of them sipping wine, and yeah, he's like, I just refill all these bottles and put a new label on them and trick you all, and it turns out that's what he was doing. But he would say these things on camera to them. It was really wild.
yeah, so it seems very deliberate, and that makes it petty right there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, for sure. So, last question. If you were to commit a petty crime yourself, what type of crime would it be and why?
Uh,
We've told
we
personal stories
have.
of our own, but if I was gonna do a new one, it would probably be something towards like a corporation or something. I just feel that anarchy in me lately, and
Hmm.
maybe feces crimes are always some of my favorites to cover. So if I can find some lying around and mix that with a corporation in some way, I think I could be my own hero.
There you go.
Yeah, that's such a tough one because, yeah, like Trevin said, I've talked about me committing a few crimes on our show,
Mhm.
but a new one, I've still yet to get in trouble for streaking. That would be an exciting one.
Get it.
Get it.
Mom bod out. Watch out, world.
We love naked crimes too, so that would be
We
perfect.
do.
It would be perfect.
Oh, sorry in advance, kids.
Do you find crime podcasts to be a little too murdery? Then take a break from all things heavy and get petty.
Join us, Amanda and Trevin, as we share killer facts, dreadful dilemmas, and tell real-life petty crime stories in the style of an audio drama.
There, sprayed all over the aisle floor and 8 display wigs, was a fresh pile of poo. Listen to Live, Laugh, Larceny on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, that's all I have for questions. If you guys are ready to move on to the Victorian slang term portion of our interview.
Let's
I'm
do
ready.
Okay. Amanda, you are up first.
Okay.
Your first term is lag of dudes.
Lag of dudes?
Yep.
Sounds like my Saturday nights.
Lag of dudes. I'm gonna go with a male posse that follows you around everywhere you go.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay. A lag of dudes, according to Victorian slang, is a bucket or a basket of clothes.
Whoa!
I was just
Very
thinking
far
about
off.
that.
Okay.
Like, dudes probably wasn't used as people back then. right after she locked it in, I was like, oh no.
I already knew. I told Trevin, I was like, I'm gonna be horrible at this game, but
It's all right. That's half the fun, is like coming
Yeah.
up with some random stuff. All right, Trevin,
Yes.
your first term is Jomer. Like Homer with a
Jomer.
J. Jomer.
Okay. Jomer, I'm gonna say that is a nickname for a person, or it describes a person, and I'm going to say it is someone who is like a janitor type person,
Okay. All right.
and I'm gonna be completely off.
So you were right with the person aspect. So, according to Victorian slang, a Jomer is a sweetheart or a favorite gal.
Oh, it's a lady.
Ooh,
It's a
I
lady.
like that.
I feel like Jomer would be a really cool man nickname now. Like if somebody was like, "Yo, Jomer," I'd answer to that.
Hey.
They'd be saying, "Hey, favorite gal."
Yes.
Little old me. All right. Amanda, your second term is beaker hunter.
Beaker hunter. Huh. Okay. Maybe this is a person that is on the hunt for those who make potions out of beakers.
Ooh, that's
Okay.
actually the direction I was thinking, like a scientist or something.
Yeah.
Okay. A beaker hunter is a stealer of poultry.
That felt like a trap with beaker. I was thinking bird at first, and I said, nope, it's not bird. It can't be.
I don't know why I immediately, maybe because you mentioned Breaking Bad earlier, Trevin, I don't know. But yeah, I was thinking like like a beaker that you make some, like mix stuff in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
I just think that's so random. Like, I'm a beaker hunter. I'm going to go steal your chickens, or I'm going to go steal your ducks. Like, what?
Yeah, like, is that something that they would, like, gossip in the neighborhood? Like, oh, watch out for Tom. He's a real beaker hunter. Better keep those chickens in the barn or whatever.
Actually, you're probably right, I bet.
It sounds like such a, like a sassy, gossipy term for somebody.
Yep.
I can see that.
I kind of love it.
Kind of a very petty name for somebody. Beaker hunter.
I heard your husband's a bit of a beaker hunter.
How dare you, sir? All right, Trevin.
Yes.
Your second term is chonkies. And it's not a derogatory thing, so chonkies.
I've got a few upstairs. So it's not just really cute cats. I'm going to say it is your linens.
Oh my god!
Like pants or something. Like when I'm having a real lazy day, I slip on my chonkies because I don't feel like impressing other people.
I was thinking like long underwear type of thing. I don't know why.
Which feels really derogatory. If I ever had pants that I called chonkies, I probably wouldn't feel too cute. That's right up there with a moo-moo.
Hey, don't hate on the moo-moos, Trevin.
Gotta let it breathe, man. Just let it breathe.
Yes. God.
Okay. Chonkies were a kind of minced meat baked in a crust and sold like on the street.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, okay. I would try a chonky.
I would too, like I was like, that kind of sounds, like a puff pastry type of thing, with who knows what.
It makes me think of like the little roller things they have at gas stations.
Yeah, the little taquitos.
Yeah, taquitos.
So it's like the first time for that. The original
taquito.
Taquito.
Chonkies. The original taquito.
I think we need an ad for that.
The OG. Well, I would like to thank Amanda and Trevin for joining me today for Can You Crack the Cramp-Word? And before we go, can you tell our listeners where they can find you on social media and when new episodes of your show come out?
You can start off, Trevin.
Okay. Well, let's see. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts. We are the most active on Instagram, but we used to be on TikTok a lot. I want to get back to it really bad. And Facebook as well. And I'm using Threads a little bit, but it's hard to get ideas that often. So, but yeah, you can find us there. Live, Laugh, Larceny podcast on all socials. And Wednesdays is when they come out.
Yes. And also, if any of your amazing listeners have any petty crime stories that they have done or they know of, or any news stories and they want to send them in to us, our email is livelaughlarceny@gmail.com. We get a lot of really fun emails and stories sent in, so we love it.
Yeah, because it's not like, a murder podcast or a paranormal one. Like everybody's got one of these. And then if you don't, you at least know somebody that did.
For sure. Yeah. Well, on that note, as always, I'm Lindsay, and I'll see you next time with another tale as old as crime.